building a team, culture, kind of those two things, which sort of go hand in hand. What does that look like for the organizations you've built and the other organizations that you think are great?
If you're to look at the number of companies that have great culture, good culture, or bad culture, the companies that have bad culture are by far the most infrequent. They have to die at some point, okay? So, and the reason I say this is because there's a lot of people that just like to attack businesses and say that this is toxic and that is toxic or whatever. Now, interestingly enough, though, the companies who have excellent, great cultures are also just as few, maybe even fewer. In fact, I would say by far fewer. It's way easier to have a negative culture than not. So the really elite companies with great cultures are definitely outnumbered by very bad cultures, but they go away eventually. And that's the reason that that doesn't matter. The sticking point is the companies that have a decent culture, okay? And they have fragmented culture. And one of the reasons for it is they don't have a pattern for marketing, promoting, and reinforcing the culture within their organization. You have to tell people about the culture before they come into it. And you have to be very careful about your wording. So there's a lot of people who, they negatively promote things. They promote things very poorly. They say things that they don't realize hurt culture.
The interviewers who are interviewing new candidates.
Yep, and the company when they set up the culture. So for example, one of the things that people gravitate to when they're going to set up a culture is they say things like, we have a culture of excellence, okay? I would not, by the way, I want every one of my competitive companies to have a culture of excellence.
Sure, it's like almost the default, right? What company doesn't want a culture of excellence?
Right, and the reason I want it is because it's not good for culture. The reason it's not good for culture is that cultures need to be innovative, and cultures need to be flexible, and cultures need to be highly virtuous. But when you say we have this culture of excellence, you are basically, and by the way, it also puts the leaders up for like pot shots like you wouldn't believe. Because the number one American pastime, actually worldwide pastime, is identifying hypocrites. And people want to do that because they're the hypocrite, but they just want to point somebody else's hypocrisy out so they don't have to pay attention to it. So as soon as like the leader comes in and says, we're an on-time company and you always need to be on time, and that dude is late all the time, everybody's going to take shots at him. And even if he is late one day, but he was unforgiving to somebody else that was late, now he's done. I mean, people, they are juicing for that sort of error when you do that. So this ambiguous standard of excellence is like, I'm perfect as the leader, I am excellent, therefore I establish an excellent company and I demand excellence in all of you. So I have the same formula for a culture when I set it up, so it's promotable the right way. Our culture is made up of 3 different pillars on one foundation. The first pillar is professional will. The easiest way to summarize that is that you have no right to your successes if you're not willing to own your failures. And we are an organization that fails. But when we fail, we don't fail because we took no precautions. We don't fail because we're whimsically and stupid. We failed because we're human beings, first and foremost, and sometimes we have a bad day. The other reason we fail is because the only way that you can possibly climb is to make some mistakes as you go. And you cannot be afraid of the failure as long as you're handling it responsible. Now, if you think I'm giving a talk about, hey, we're all failures, come on in and fail all the time with us. No, we want to mitigate these things. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to fail and I'm going to see it. I'm going to fail and you're going to see it. And the way that we handle it personally and the way we handle it on behalf of each other is going to determine how well we do once that happens. So if you want the right to your successes, and by the way, you're going to have more of those than failures, then you better own your failures and we'll celebrate both. Okay? Now they get that. The second thing, and by the way, I also show them psychologically how self-justification is the second strongest motivator for human beings. And I have some stories for that are kind of humorous that everybody can relate to. The second one is a compassionate heart. And the compassionate heart is super simple. Listen, here's how you approach your colleagues. Hey, I know that was supposed to be in here at 9 o'clock and it's 9:15. Is everything okay? You start with that. Because what if their answer is, oh, I know. Yeah, my dad had an aneurysm last night. We were in the hospital until 3 o'clock in the morning. I just got back. I'm so sorry. I'll get it to you by 10. Aren't you glad you didn't seize that moment to go, what the hell? Where is this? How come it's not here? And then they tell you that and you feel like an idiot? Not to mention that if you take that approach first, even if they didn't have their father with an aneurysm, what have you done to increase the odds they're going to lie to you now because of the pressure you're putting them on under? So that's why if you start compassionate, it doesn't mean that you're whimsical, that you don't care about standards, but it means that you assume the best in the other person first, and they're going to do that same thing for you. And then the next one is fun-loving spirit. If we're going to do it, might as well make fake pictures of dogs, put them on the cover, and punk the CEO. And then that's all centered on humility. And humility isn't, hey, we're a bunch of perfectly humble people. Be as perfectly humble as we are. It's precision truth about yourself. It's knowing your strengths. It's knowing your weaknesses. It's admitting them. It's hard to do. Now, when you do that, that like raises people's spirits to want to be a part of that. And it doesn't make them afraid at all. And there's a big difference.